We go to the United States, where authorities say 3 people are being held after at least 50 people believed to be migrants were found dead in an abandoned truck on the outskirts of San Antonio, Texas, Mexico. Foreign Minister Marcelo Ebrard says 22 Mexicans, 7 Guatemalans and 2 Hondurans were identified among the dead. There was no information on the nationality of the other 19. Officials say 16 people, including 4 children, were taken to hospital after suffering from heat stroke and heat exhaustion. San Antonio, which is 350 kilometers from the US-Mexican border, is a major transit route for people smugglers. So we're joined now live from San Antonio in Texas by SABC News correspondent Tony Waterman. So Tony, we understand this is the largest case of human smuggling to date in the United States. How accurate is that?
Yeah, that's right. There have been instances in the past, but this number of now a Texas official saying 51 individuals who have died is apparently unprecedented. It's a very large number of individuals. That includes, according to a Texas spokesperson, 39 men and 12 women. And there are still some of them adolescents. And so there is a chance that this death toll could rise even higher. I'm standing right now in the exact location where that truck was found abandoned on Monday night. Just in this area down here on the ground, you can see bags, you can see pieces of clothing, you can see food and plastic bottles. I even saw one sneaker on the ground, so quite chilling. And you can see, if you can see here behind me in the distance, that there are a number of people from the community now that are coming here and setting up a memorial. They're bringing flowers, they're bringing crosses. Really, a lot of the people here grieving, overtaken by emotion at this tragic event. 51 people now are being told have been killed, and it appears in quite grim circumstances. Many of the survivors, officials say, were actually hot to the touch. They were sitting inside this 18-wheeler, dozens of them, with apparently little to no ventilation. Officials saying that the air conditioning did not appear to be working. They didn't find any water inside. And many of the people seem to have had heat stroke or heat exhaustion from the sweltering conditions inside.
So, Tony, I understand that forensic investigators have been deployed and they have spoken about that, the possibility of heat strokes and obviously, the constriction within the truck itself. But what more can you tell us, or that's emerging about either the trip towards the border or how they came to all be in this truck together? Have we learned any more information?
Well, Homeland Security is now in charge of this investigation, a special unit within Homeland Security which specializes in human smuggling. What we have heard from the Mexican president is that 22 of the confirmed dead were Mexican citizens, 7 were Guatemalans, and 2 were from Honduras. Officials are still working to identify the remaining nationalities and individuals. Certainly, Mexico is used as the entry point into the United States. It's the border country to the United States. But a lot of these migrants make their way from hundreds, if not thousands of miles further south, whether that's into Central America or into South America. They make this very long journey and very dangerous journey north. So they're still trying to identify who these other nationalities are, who these other individuals are. Police also say that they have taken 3 individuals into custody, although it's unclear at this point what their exact connection is to this tragic event. Human smuggling is something that happens, unfortunately, quite frequently. People often spend hundreds, if not thousands of dollars to these individuals to try to make a safe passage up here, but often they are being exploited. They are poor people who are suffering, who are fleeing instability in their own countries, looking for a better life in America. and are exploited on that final leg trying to get into the country. And this is something that the Biden administration says it's really going to zero in on in the coming weeks and months to try to break up this multi-billion-dollar industry of human trafficking. But certainly the president himself is coming up against some very strong critics, including the Republican Texas governor, Greg Abbott, who in a tweet last night after this news came out, essentially laid the blame for these deaths at the president's feet, saying that Joe Biden has been too lenient when it comes to enforcing immigration policy, and that has acted as sort of this incentive for people to make this dangerous journey north, because they think that if they can get over the border, then they will be able to stay here in the United States.
I'm just looking back where records show that the last such incident, I think, was 2017, when 10 people died, and there was one, James Matthew Bradley Jr., who was sentenced to life in a federal prison. He claimed that he was just helping. His wife said he didn't know that there were people in the truck. I'm just trying to get a sense of, as you said, it's somewhat widespread, but how organized is it? Given the current conditions, high levels of unemployment, rising costs of food and livelihood, surely driving people to what they think are much better prospects.
Yeah, this is something that has happened before. 2017, 10 individuals, as you mentioned there, found in a similar situation here in San Antonio in a truck, had died inside that truck. There was no ventilation. 2003, there were 19 people that were found dead inside a truck. In Victoria, Texas, we've also seen these cases where people are inside these trucks, police are chasing them down, and these truck drivers are racing to get away from them, and they end up crashing and people are dying, or they flip over into a ditch and people are dying. It's a very dangerous journey for a lot of these migrants. And this is an indication, this particular that things are getting worse. We will have to wait and see. But certainly the number of attempted border crossings has been spiking in the last year. 1.7 million attempted border crossings in the 2021 fiscal year, and we are now on track to surpass that. You talk about these global economic conditions right now. There is high inflation everywhere in the world. The war in Ukraine between Moscow and Kyiv, that is obviously driving up prices on food, and we have a lot of economists talking about global recession in the next year or two. So there are a lot of new situations that are going to exacerbate existing situations for these individuals, a lot of them economic, where they're trying to flee to a better life, and also safety is a huge thing. These drug cartels in Mexico and Central and South America are very well organized, as are these smuggling rings. They are very well organized, moving people across the border, again, often for thousands of dollars per person, and exploiting these very vulnerable individuals.
Tony, thank you very much. Tony Waterman, SABC correspondent, speaking to us live from San Antonio in Texas.